when the right people come together at the right moment, when they care almost as much about winning as they do about each other, they can become the best of the best.
To the best soccer show. The best soccer show in the whole world.
Here we go, boys and girls. We are live. It's the best soccer show. We are ahead of USA Jamaica from Kingston. World Cup qualifiers for 2014. Jason Davis and Jared Dubois to walk you right up to kickoff. Happy to be joined by friend of the show, ESPN analyst, former U.S. international, Alexi Lalas. Alexi, how are you, buddy?
Gentlemen, how you guys doing?
Rocking the rat shirt again. Love it. Absolutely love it. So we are here to talk about leading up to this game, USA Jamaica. We've got a lineup for the Americans. We've got a lineup for the Jamaicans. There's some head scratchers in here. I guess we start with the biggest surprise, and to get this out there for anybody that hasn't heard yet. Do you want to run it down, Jared? Should I run it down? Justin?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and just fill people in, just in case.
All right. If you're listening on NASN Radio, NASN.TV/live, that's where you go to find us. If I don't know, whatever. The lineup: Tim Howard, obviously, Michael Parkhurst, Clarence Goodson, Jeff Cameron, Fabian Johnson, your back line, Jermaine Jones, Beckerman, Kyle Beckerman, and Maurice Adu in the midfield with Clint Dempsey, Josie Altidore, and Hercules Gomez. From what I've seen on Twitter, they're calling this a 4-4-2 with a diamond. So we'll take that under advisement as we talk to Alexi here. The biggest missing names, I think, are Carlos Bocanegra, who we're told is healthy and just coach's decision not to start him. Steve Cherundolo, who's got a calf strain and is out. And the other big question, I think, is why Clint Dempsey starting after not playing in 3 months. Alexi, what do you make of this?
Oh, let's see. I think the Dempsey situation is interesting. Because, as you said, he hasn't played competitively a long time. This is for real. This is big boy games now. I mean, this is a team that's very good, that's capable of beating the U.S., given some of their speed and I think the confidence that they're going into this particular game. So this is for real for Jurgen Klinsmann. Carlos Bocanegra, we've talked over the last couple of months about his problems in terms of where he's playing and the division that he was playing at. Is that a situation where it is directly related, or is it a situation where Jurgen Klinsmann saw an opportunity for a type of change that he has been wanting to make for a while right now, and especially 2 years out from the World Cup? I don't know, but it's going to be interesting seeing Goodson and Cameron link up there, and Maurice Adu, who we saw play so well in the game in Mexico City, now goes back to his position with Jones and with Beckerman. So a lot of different things. And then on Parkhurst in for Cherundolo, that is a huge ask for Parkhurst. This is a huge game for him right now, huge 90 minutes. And when people get hurt, you got to jump in there and figure it out. This isn't a coaching decision. This is a situation that we're hearing where Cherundolo's gotten hurt, and guys got to step up and do the job.
Okay.
Alexi, looking at the midfield, you have the Adu, Beckerman, Jones. I think everyone knew that there's going to be at least two of those three. By going with three holding midfielders like that, does that mean that Klinsmann is going with a conservative approach, maybe going for just a point at least on the road in World Cup qualifying?
I think he will be pragmatic today. I think the team will inevitably fall into a type of pragmatism that on the surface is the way that you need to go. Get a point and get out of there, or steal 3 points. But in the context of what Jurgen Klinsmann has shouted from the rooftops over the last year, and in a certain to a certain extent has promised, I think it's interesting because is it for U.S. fans out there, do all you care about is the result, or do you care about how the U.S. gets the result, given what Jurgen Klinsmann has said over the last year? I think it's going to be really interesting to see not necessarily what the result is of this game, but how the U.S. goes about getting this result. And having three defensive-type midfielders doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to pack it in and counter. But when you look at this lineup, I will be interested to see whether there is an inevitable type of regression and almost a traditional U.S. outlook to kind of be defensive, understand that you're playing away and get that point, which is what we and many teams have done for a long time. But when you throw it up against what Jurgen Klinsmann has talked about, does it always jibe?
It's a little bit of misdirection from Klinsmann, and he's talking the one, he says one thing and he kind of does another. But at the same time, I think both Jared and I have given him credit for at least recognizing a situation that's when he's presented with it, and not being so stuck in this idea of expansive, pass happy, possession based soccer all the time. That he can't go out and get this point, because this is going to be a difficult game. There's nothing easy about this, there is some scary things to see from Jamaica. What is the biggest danger, whether they pack it in or whether they try to go for it a little bit? What's the biggest danger that Jamaica presents?
I think Jamaica presents some speed that this U.S. team has not seen, and especially when you talk about a Goodson or a Cameron or a Parkhurst, for that matter, dealing with some of the speed. And I think there's a physical part of the speed, but I think there's also a mental part of the speed that Jamaica is coming into this game. Jamaica as a country feels that this is one of the best collections that they've had in a long time. So there is a confidence that comes out. If the U.S. can dampen that confidence right off the bat, and Jamaica comes in and feels in the first 20 minutes that, we thought we were going to walk all over this U.S. team, and it's not happening. And the things that makes Jamaica great in terms of their ability to get the ball and to break isn't there, either because the U.S. is closing it down or the U.S. is possessing the ball a lot more than Jamaica thought that they would. That's going to be huge for the U.S. But if they don't, if the U.S. fails to possess the ball at all, and more importantly, if the U.S. starts opening up spaces, thinking that they can go forward at times when maybe it's not advisable, that's when Jamaica's going to break them down, and that's when problems are going to arise.
That's the exact issue I wanted to kind of get to, Alexi, is that with those three holding midfielders, and if they're playing a diamond like U.S. Soccer is saying, that means two of those three guys are going to have to be touching the chalk pretty consistently if they're going to play a natural type of diamond system where they get all the way out there. I think they're going to stay more compact than that. I think to stay more compacted that, and I think, does that mean that the fullbacks are going to have much more of a burden to carry to generate some kind of offense in this type of lineup than they normally would? And is that maybe the biggest area that Jamaica can look to counter upon?
In terms of the back four, you're saying?
Yeah, with those two fullbacks, it looks like they're going to have to be the ones to establish width in this lineup with that midfield.
If you're asking Johnson and Parkhurst to provide width, that's going to open up space for that Jamaican speed, is what he's asking. Is that a problem for the Americans?
Yeah, I wouldn't be looking at Johnson and Parkhurst in this game to be attack-minded, to be quite honest with you. I think they need to stay at home. It doesn't mean that they don't go forward, but I think they need to stay at home first and recognize that exposing that space, especially out wide, could be the key for a Jamaica side that loves to do it. So I think they have to have real good games and be really strategic in the timing and the way that they play. You mentioned Clint Dempsey. I don't understand how a player coming in, and as good as he is, and whether he's fit or not, I don't even know if that's the issue. I don't understand how a player coming off of that kind of layoff can have the right kind of timing, can have the right kind of touch, can all of those things that are going to be crucial. If Clint Dempsey's going to have an impact in this game, and if you look at this lineup, he has to, if they're going to get a point, if they give up a goal, or 3 if they want to try to do that. How is that going to work for him? And who's going to get him the ball, and where is he going to get it? Yeah, I mean, the other side is, look, if the U.S. happened to lose this game, is it the end of the world? Absolutely not. So in a certain... You hope not, but in a certain sense, Clint Dempsey, putting him in against Jamaica, is it really that absolutely crazy? Not really. It's not like he's gained 30 pounds and he can't run or anything like that. I think the problem, to be quite honest, whether Dempsey is fit or whether he's playing consistently, it doesn't matter. It's where Dempsey gets the ball in this type of situation. Is he able to run the show? Is he able to find ways to pull into those pockets that he loves to underneath the players, whether it's Gomez or Altidore, and be effective in those moments? And it has nothing to do with whether he's fit. To a certain extent, yes, he might be a little bit rusty, but this kind of stuff is consistently going to be asked of Dempsey, whether they're playing against Jamaica or whether they're playing against Brazil in the World Cup. Can he find those pockets and be effective? At times, he's proven that he can, and at times, sometimes he just fades out.
Josie Altidore gets the nod in this after getting almost no time in the last run of World Cup qualifiers in the last camp. Obviously, the guy's been in good form with the Netherlands. how do you see this combination between Altidore and Gomez? And are you surprised that they went with a 2-forward setup when they seem to be lacking so much creativity in the midfield that they went with a 4-4-2 in this scenario?
I'm not surprised and how it actually shapes up, because Altidore and Gomez are obviously very, very different, and Gomez loves to drop and do those diagonal runs with his speed and his quickness into the corner. So he's not going to be standing next to Josie Altidore. As a matter of fact, I think Dempsey will be much closer to Altidore during the game as opposed to Gomez. Altidore is an interesting case. Everyone talks about club form, and all things being equal, of course you want your players doing well at club. But I've been around long enough, and you guys have been around long enough to know that it doesn't always translate. If it did, there'd be a lot of players that automatically would go and score goals at the international level. And it doesn't translate because either the style is different, or because players are playing on different teams that have different styles, or they're playing on teams that, quite honestly, aren't as good. And so Altidore, it's great that he's doing well, because he's getting reps and he's understanding what it means to be in good positions to score goals. But it's going to be interesting to see how he translates that back to the U.S. national team, because we've seen at different times where players are playing well club-wise, and it doesn't always translate.
Back to the back line for me, and the start of Clarence Goodson. Clarence Goodson is a kind of a divisive figure in the people that I follow, and a lot of people whose opinions I respect. There are some who are very down on Clarence Goodson, say he's soft, say he's a step slow on the trap. Do you have some concerns about Clarence Goodson against this type of team that's going to be using speed to their advantage?
I don't, only because I don't see an alternative except for Maurice Adu, who is, shall we say, more athletic, and I think can make up space better than a Goodson. But I think that Jurgen Klinsmann looked at it and said, I think I need Maurice Adu, and he'll do more for me in the midfield than in the back. Am I concerned? Yes, but to be quite honest, no matter who Jurgen Klinsmann decided to play in that back four, and especially in those back center back, those central back positions, I think it would always be a concern playing against Jamaica and playing against speed. And by the way, it's not just Jamaica. This team going forward doesn't have that type of defender that has closing speed, that has the ability to make up for mistakes for himself or for others, and they haven't had that for a long time. And so you have to be absolutely on from a mental standpoint, always thinking what if, because if you're able to think 2 or 3 steps ahead, then you don't need that athleticism at a certain point. But we all know in the game of soccer, to be quite honest, there's going to be times where you can't think those 3 steps ahead, and you have to find a way to figure it out.
Well, Jeff Cameron's not exactly slow, but he's not a burner either. He's not James Olave. Is that what you're saying? That there's yep. I don't think Jeff Cameron's a slow player. I think he's, I don't know how to describe that. I had some people question the assessment that Jeff Cameron wasn't very quick. Does he seem speedy to you as a former center back?
He's not speedy, but he's not speedy, but he's faster than people give him credit for. And I do think that he is a thinker. In that he can anticipate things and tries not put himself into positions where he is going to get exposed. And this is someone talking to you right now that understood from the get-go that I did not need to get into a foot race with anybody, and I did everything in my power to make sure that I didn't. And if I did, I had to have contingency plans, and whether it was screaming 3 hours before the game, kickoff hasn't even happened yet, or a little tug here, or anything that I could use to my advantage. I did all of those things because I recognized that was one of my major weaknesses.
You know,
right.
Jeff. One real quick, Jason. Jeff Cameron, the center back of the future, yes or no, based on what you've seen so far lately? The guy's got a meteoric rise right now in the U.S. national team.
Yes, I think he is the prototypical type of player going forward. With this caveat, I recognize that the fact is he's so valuable, I think, right now that he's not always going to play center back in his club situation. And I think that it's not a problem for him. It's a problem for the U.S. national team, because I want him getting as many reps as possible at as high a level as possible at center back, and seeing as many different types of strikers as possible, and many different types of formations and schemes as possible at center back. Because I think with his vision, I think with the creativity and with that midfield mentality that he brings, I think that's an asset. Now, over the last couple of years, he's really had to understand that he is a center back when he is a center back, and really learn to love it. And that's not always an easy position to love. I think he has come through that, because there was a time where he was playing center back as a midfielder, and that's dangerous for him, and that's dangerous for a team. I think now he's concentrated on playing center back. Yes, at times over in the EPL, he will be playing in the midfield, which I'm not real happy about. But when he is playing center back, I think that he is the future. And I think 2 years from now, if he continues on and knock on wood isn't injured, he's there in Brazil.
All right, 10 seconds. Give us a prediction, Alexi.
I think the U.S. gets a point and gets out of there. 1-1.
Which I think we would all be fairly comfortable with at this point.
Which is what the results in the past have shown.
Absolutely. ESPN's Alexi Lalas joining us to preview USA Jamaica. Thanks for your time, Alexi. We'll talk to you guys on the other side of this break. Best soccer show, North American Soccer Network.
I'm Garrett Cleverly, co-host of MLS in 30 with John Arnold. Check us out every Tuesday and Friday as we break down the latest in MLS. We bring in the best beat writers throughout the nation, the guys that know the teams better than the teams know themselves. We also go over the best blank of the week and best blank of the weekends, and we break down the latest hot gossip, which is usually just typical MLS news. Check us out every Tuesday and Friday, only on NASN Radio. Now back to more NASN programming.
Soccer Made in Portland airs Tuesdays and Fridays on the North American Soccer Network.
Get your weekly Portland Timbers fix with interviews, analysis, and the latest team news with Kelly McLean and Michael Orr.
Every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, we'll break down the previous weekend's game.
And then again on Friday afternoons, join us at 3:30 p.m. Pacific for the last word before the game as we preview the Timbers' upcoming opponent, including interviews with some of the best soccer journalists from around the country.
That's Soccer Made in Portland, live twice a week at NASN.TV.
Hey guys, the North American Soccer Network says we have to give them 30 seconds about what our show's like.
Surely we can accomplish this in 30 seconds, right? I mean, that's what we're good at.
Shouldn't be difficult.
Brevity. We need brevity.
I think that's the key. I think somebody should spell the name too. It's like it's a C. C-U-J.
C.
Yeah, there you go.
C-U-J-U. Yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
R-A-D-I-O.
Thank you, Richard. Really much appreciated. Yeah, Radio Suju on the North American Soccer Network and on NASN Radio.
Together they formed a band whose names and deeds were to be retold throughout the centuries.
Every week, the Knights of the Supporters Shield, four of SB Nation Soccer's best American soccer writers, Jeremiah O'Shan, Kevin McCauley, Ryan Rosenblatt, and Zach Woosley, assemble at the roundtable to analyze the latest news and events from around Major League Soccer. It's informative, it's entertaining, it's biased demagoguery at its best. It's the Knights of the Supporters Shield, and it's only on the North American Soccer Network and NASN Radio.
Jason Davis, Jared Dubois, live ahead of USA Jamaica, or Jamaica USA, I should say. I have no idea if we're on the air. Are we on the air? I don't know.
Released on NASNradio.com.
We're on NASN Radio. We are not on Ustream. That's fine. Nobody needs to see our faces anyway. We're having a little fun in the break.
No one needs to see.
No one needs to see my face. Is that what you were going?
I don't know. Maybe that's kind of mean spirited.
Yeah. So getting ready for this game, we talked to Alexi Lalas. I don't think there's anything there that frightens me. And as negative as this lineup looks, Jared, I mean, again, we go into these CONCACAF qualifiers. It's very tough.
Well, here's the thing. What did you want to see, Jason? Given who's out, given who's available, what did you want to see?
It's a good question. I don't know if I wanted to see. I don't know, because really, if you're talking about Terrence Boyd, then that's a swap for Altuar Gomez. You're not going to play. You're not gonna play
I think you're getting like for like up there. So I mean, I think where the frustration comes in is the fact that there's 3 holding midfielders. I think that's where a lot of it comes in. Like Alexi said, it's a very pragmatic view for Jurgen Klinsmann to take that. But I think people want to see a little bit of flair, the kind of stuff that what Klinsmann's talking about is take your style to a team no matter where it is and no matter what the situation is. But the U.S. just isn't there yet. And
what everybody's talking about with Jamaica, we do have the phone lines open. If you have some pregame thoughts, go ahead and get in with them. 201-430-2378 or Best Soccer Show on Skype, and we'll drop you in here. I think the one thing people keep talking about with Jamaica is speed. Okay, we know Jamaica's fast. I mean, the fastest people in the world. They've got Usain Bolt from their country, for crap's sake. So when you're dealing with that one variable that's so much in the favor of your opponent, and you're playing in their home stadium, and there's things happening in the stands that drift down to the field, which is what Dane Richards was talking about, and it's just never easy in CONCACAF qualifying away matches. I think the instinct is to go ahead and try to eliminate that advantage. And the way you eliminate that advantage when you can't match them speed for speed is to get defensive-minded players in there who will sit back, who will break up those attacks, who will fill those passing lanes and keep Jamaica from breaking out and getting behind your back line with that speed.
Yeah, I think that's probably a correct assessment. What I'm worried about as well, and something we kind of alluded to when we were talking to Lexi, is that I'm worried how much width the U.S. is going to be able to establish in this game. It makes me nervous to think of Kyle Beckerman trying to get out on the touchline or Maurice Adu out on the touchline. I don't see that being their game.
But you're not, and that's the thing. That's why we asked Alexi about Fabian Johnson and Michael Parkhurst providing width, because that's the only way you're going to get it with this lineup. Because Maurice Adu and Kyle Beckerman are going to be in the middle of the field. That's just where they play. So you have no width. You're getting none. If you
do you think it'd be similar to, remember when USA played Spain in the Confederations Cup? One of the things they famously did in that game is they just gave Spain the wings if they wanted it. So you can have the wings all night long. We're not going to give you the middle of the field.
You've got an advantage. Would you rather have Jamaica taking the ball through the middle of the field and using that speed to their advantage, or have them have to deal with one-on-ones on the outside, trying to get crosses into the box where you've got Cameron and Goodson who can win the ball in the air? I think you take that. If this is a defensive pick your poison, it's always let them have the wings, isn't it? It's always that.
I think the majority of the time, yes. The only reservation I have is with a team like Jamaica, and like we're saying about the speed involved, speed is where you can use it is on the wings. So if that's their best, trait is the speed. You're kind of playing into their hands a little bit by giving them the wings.
But that's why you have Parkhurst and Johnson staying at home rather than pushing up the field.
Okay, but what happens when they're fast? Like you have Lovell Palmer is going to be overlapping. I mean, what happens when the overlap comes and Beckerman, Adu, Jones aren't in position out wide to cover that overlap? That's what I'm worried about.
Not account for every possibility. You can only try. This is what coaching 101 is. You try to take away the opponent's greatest strength, right? And if their greatest strength is more of a counter, is more of an attack at speed, then you take that away and you deal with everything else. You make do with everything else because you can't account for everything. You don't have the personnel here.
If that's the case, the most important thing on the field is as soon as the transition happens to Jamaica starting their offense, you need to have a guy within 5 yards of that player instantly. It's as soon as that point of attack happens, that's going to be the job of those three players. Get someone on the ball as quick as possible when they turn up field.
Yes,
Don't let them make that turn up field.
I have no idea where the goals are going to come from unless you can get Dempsey the ball in good attacking spaces and let him do something.
I'll tell you, set pieces.
Play it off of set pieces, obviously. Play it off of Altidore and have him lay it off to Dempsey or Hercules Gomez making a run. That's where your attack. There's not a whole lot of buildup here.
I will say that is one loss for the Wow, I almost said for the Galaxy. For the U.S. national team tonight is that you're losing Carlos Bocanegra, one of your best set piece people. Obviously, Dempsey is great on set pieces. Bocanegra has a great history of being good on set pieces.
He's got a knack. I think Jeff Cameron is fairly adept at set pieces as well. I wouldn't count him out as a possible goal scorer in this game. They're on the field. Anthems are starting. Jared, we should get our predictions in here. Alexi went with the draw. He didn't give us a score line, but he went with the draw. 1 point, get out, come back to Columbus where they've sold that game out. Congratulations. Well done, Columbus. And try to get 3 points at home. What you got tonight, Jared?
My first prediction is that Tim Howard keeps that white kit all white all night. I don't think he's going to be that busy, to be honest with you. I don't think he's going to be diving into anything.
I'm sorry. No saves, no diving.
I'm not saying no shots. I'm just saying he keeps pretty clean.
Wow. Okay.
I just don't think he gets tested too much on the night. I'm going to say a 1-0 victory for the U.S. here.
Wow. Okay. Look, I think
if you're going to put three holding midfielders in that midfield across the back four, you better be able to play defense.
Sure. But again, the issue is not keeping Jamaica out of the net necessarily, although they are a threat to score. It's scoring. It's getting the ball into Jamaica's net and finding that goal to get the 1-0 win.
And I think they get a goal on a set piece tonight.
Okay, I was going to be positive and go with the win. I do think they can get the win tonight and break that. They've never won in a qualifier in Kingston. But you've taken 1-0. I don't want to be the same as you. I'm going to go 2-0. 2-0 USA in Kingston.
You want to predict a loss, and then you just don't want to have to put "I heart a do" across your forehead.
No, I really do think they're better, and I think people are in that protectionism mode where they don't want to let them believe that the United States is that much better than Jamaica. And again, I know they've never won a qualifier there. It's always draws. But I think it happens tonight. All right, we are back at halftime for a halftime report, Best Soccer Show, and then we're back after the game as well. Make sure you join us, NESNradio.com, NESN.TV/live if we can get that stuff going. We'll see you guys at halftime. Later. Not the result we wanted, not the result we expected. We know you're going to have thoughts. 201-430-2378 is the phone number if you want to get in. Well, plenty to talk about. Plenty of failures all over that field tonight, Jared. There is barely anything good to say about that second half. We came out of the first half on a low after the free kick, but the United States seemed to have been putting something together at the end of the first half. Didn't carry it over at all. There was basically no ideas. The midfield went to crap. Clinton Dempsey couldn't get on the ball. When he did get on the ball, he wasn't very effective. Josie Altidore was absolutely invisible. I'm seeing that all over my Twitter stream, and while I agree, again, not Josie's fault. Where are the breakdowns? Two free kicks. How do you give up two free kicks like that and lose?
Well, here's the thing. It wasn't just two. There were more. Those are the two that got converted. It was no ideas out there. At least in the second half, the only thing I can remember of any kind of positive note was that one 25 pass sequence where actually, was that even in the first half? Was that in the first half or the second half?
End of the first half.
So I apologize. I don't have anything good to say about the second half then. The only thing you can say maybe is that Danny Williams got capped officially, but I'm not even sure that's a good thing.
Well, okay. I think Danny Williams is going to be a decent player. Whether or not he was the right player for that game, I don't know. It was still 1-1 when he makes that change, Kyle Beckerman for Danny Williams. And while I know people were down on Kyle Beckerman tonight, and you could argue that the first to make a goal was his fault directly, overall, I think he was definitely adequate for the job he was asked to do. You tell me Danny Williams did anything better, anything more effectively in that second half? Was there when push came to shove and Jurgen Klinsmann had to make some kind of attacking changes because they were down a goal, because Maurice Adu makes the stupid foul 25 yards from goal and the free kick is converted again. It's Breck Shea and it's Terrence Boyd. And while Breck Shea got on the ball a couple of times, he couldn't make anything happen. Terrence Boyd was not there, invisible, just like Josie Altidore. So are we going to come down on Terrence Boyd?
No, I think you have to throw the performance of the forwards just out. I don't think that they had any ability to put a stamp on the game because they got no help. This is what happens when you play three holding midfielders. There's just no creativity there, and they all playing too close together. By the time you get someone like Breck Shea in, Breck Shea didn't change the game much, but what I'll say, at least Breck Shea had a different identity. He had a different personality on the field.
Yes.
Yeah, he did something different than what everyone else in midfield was doing. Yes. I don't think he was successful at it necessarily, but at least it forced Jamaica to have a different look to defend against.
Right. Erico 972, you're on the air. Who's this?
It's Will.
All right, Will. Sum it up for me.
Okay. My bad if I'm calling too much.
No. Go ahead.
But I don't. That midfield, I'm sorry. That midfield is just a big issue. We can point the fingers at one individual, say Josie Josie that, but these guys can't play if the meat and the potatoes of the game is not functioning properly.
We all agree on that. And you say the midfield is a problem. It was definitely a problem tonight. But who was missing, Will? Who's the guy that probably would have brought a completely different identity to that team tonight?
Look, it's simple. Michael Bradley is missing, but he's injured. But it's the easy cop-out answer.
It's not a
Michael Bradley cannot be the only one.
Okay, well,
unfortunately, but is it a cop-out if it's the answer?
It's the answer. It's not a cop-out. Look, the United States is better when Michael Bradley is in the team. They obviously weren't good. We can go back to the beginning of this and look at the lineup and argue that Jones, Adu, and who am I missing? Jones, Adu, and Beckham together is not a good idea. And the thought that you could go and just sit back and wait while it's good, it's tried and true, and it's been tested a million times, and people have done it all the time. Sometimes it's successful. It ultimately leaves you with very little room for a margin for error. If you're not going to go get some goals, you're relying on a lot of your defense and that midfield to bog everything down. And I think they did an effective. This is what you have to say. Well, they did an effective job of slowing down Jamaica in the middle of the field. Jamaica had what from the run of play, Jared? What did they have from the run of play? Was there
nothing? You know what they got from the running play? What they got from running play was good field position for free kicks, and that's on the Americans too.
Like we have defensive midfielders stepping out to take on attacking players from Jamaica, being a step behind, committing a foul. Bam, goal. That's why they lost tonight, because of a couple of stupid plays close enough to goal to create a good free kick chance. In terms of the defensive effort, if that's the case, then why is everyone so mad at Klinsmann? If the team from the run of play did everything that he probably wanted from this team away in a CONCACAF World Cup qualifier, why are those two free kicks are what separate the result? Why is it on Klinsmann? Because he didn't give them an opportunity to go find the goals they needed to win the game. Because the chances that you're going to get bitten by a free kick or a set piece are strong. Those are things you have to guard against. They didn't guard enough against them. So you end up with 2 goals. And the consensus seems to be that Jamaica deserved the points. I think it's 6-1, half dozen in the other. I don't think it's you could say either way. That Jamaica deserved it or the Americans deserved it.
The Jamaica fans just mobbed the field and took the microphone from the BN Sports. I just hope that I haven't muted. I hope he went but. I just hope there was some kind of like dub reggae he tried to do on the fly.
Right. I mean, look, this game's over. That's 3 points lost. It's a point loss if you want to argue that the draw was attainable and that was what they were going for. Now you've got to reset. You got to come back. You got to play this team again in Columbus. They're going to be on a confidence high. And while the Americans are prohibitive favorites in Columbus with a full house of American supporters, we don't know what's going to happen because they're still not going to have Michael Bradley. They're still not going to have Landon Donovan. They still have to find some way.
Two questions for me going into that Columbus game is, one, how much does Dempsey have left after going 90 minutes in this game with his fitness in question? I would say that he looks like he kind of tanked down the stretch here.
Why?
Secondly, though, is will Jurgen Klinsmann give this team the keys to the car to let it run, to let it play a more creative style?
Who's the driver? You can give these guys a car. They don't.
You're not going to like the answer. The driver is Jose Francisco Torres, the guy they didn't get in the game tonight.
Tonight, Jose Francisco Torres has to play in Columbus. I'm sorry, or Joe Corona. I don't even care at this point. Somebody,
one of those guys that can move the ball positively, a guy that can get it from Kyle Beckerman or Jermaine Jones to Clint Dempsey, because they can't do it themselves. Jermaine Jones, Maurice Ledoux, Kyle Beckerman right now do not have the ability to consistently get the ball off their foot to Dempsey's. Get a guy between them that can.
Right. Area code 618. Who's this?
Hey guys, this is Mark.
Hey, Mark.
How nice would it have been to have Josh Gatt tonight?
Well, I mean, honestly, what kind of difference would Josh Gatt make? I mean, you were getting something out of Johnson and Parkhurst as it was. Where are you going to put Josh Gatt in that midfield? What is the option there that really gets him into space and actually allows him to do something? I don't think Josh Gatt's the answer.
I think Josh Gatt could have been the answer as the late game sub that changes the game. I don't think Josh Gatt in any stretch was going to be a starter tonight that was going to put a stamp on a 90-minute effort. Josh Gatt is that great. He could have been what Darren Maddox was for Jamaica in that second half. Darren Maddox brought energy into that game, fighting for everything, buzzing around the field. Josh Gatt might have been able to give you something like that, but I'll take the point that it would have been nice to have the luxury of having him. But because he's still such a big question mark for most of American fans, and I would imagine for part of the coaching staff too, because they haven't had him in camp at all, I don't see him playing a big role tonight.
No. Any other thoughts, Mark?
Nothing. Only other thing is, you guys think Billo's in starting 11 in Columbus?
Hopefully he comes back from whatever injury he's picked up. I mean, I
don't think we lost much though.
Well, no, I don't think that's the issue. I mean, I think Parkhurst was certainly serviceable in that role. Again, their issue was not the defense, and it wasn't even getting the ball. Well, there was little width, and you can't ask, if you're going to try to sit back and defend it and come out of there with a point. Parkhurst isn't supposed to be getting upfield that much anyway. So maybe you give him some more free reign when you're playing at home in Columbus. I don't know, but I don't know. I think if Cherundolo is healthy, he starts. 99 times out of 100 he starts, but if he's not quite there yet, I'm not that worried about Michael Parkhurst. It's
that portion of the field I don't have too many reservations about at all in terms of depth. If there was the issue that's going to come down is the center of midfield. Or the midfield in general. That's where the questions are. That means that at one point in the night, you start 3 holding midfielders, you cycle one out. You had 4 different holding midfielders that you played at some point in time in the night. That's not going to get the job done in terms of creating offense.
John's on the air. What's up, John?
Hey guys. With apologies to Grant Wall, I think I'm going to write a book called The Beckerman Experiment.
Okay, so you're one of those guys. You're one of those guys. It's all Beckerman's fault.
Begin and end with the word failed.
Oh, jeez.
I'm sorry. I'm tired of seeing it, guys. I'm tired of seeing it. Bad giveaways. He gave up. There was one foul where the guy was streaking down the right flank. It wasn't called. They'd gotten a free kick there. It could have been 3-1.
Okay, look, the world hates Kyle Beckerman. I am not as down on Kyle Beckerman. I do not see him as the fundamental problem with this.
He didn't have a good game, dude.
No, he didn't have a good game, but he is not why they lost this game.
He gave up the 2 fouls. In a way, he did.
He gave up 1 foul. Go ahead.
Okay, so he gave up the foul that got the game even. It was a dumb foul. So in some respect, if there's any U.S. player that you can blame for at least 1 goal, it's Kyle Beckerman.
Okay, but we're talking about a body of work over the entire time he's on the field.
And his body of work for the whole night was underwhelming. So if you have combined underwhelming with at fault for a goal, how in any way did he have a good game?
Fine. I don't think it's on Kyle Beckerman. I'll leave it at that. Area code 626. Who's this?
This is Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah. I agree. It was not all on Beckerman. The problem is that we have too many central midfielders playing and we have no wide play. Really, what you need to do moving forward is you need to play Cherundolo on the right starting, and I understand he was injured, but then you need to move Fabian Johnson from outside of the defense, move him up, get him closer to goal, give yourself some wide play, move Gomez outright and play with one target forward with Josie Altidore, no more of this two-striker business, and you've got your wide play. You know, we've got Edu, we've got Williams, Beckerman. It's just too much. You know, and that was the problem. We had no creativity moving wide. We gave them no threat on the counter. So yeah. I mean, it's obvious that Fabian Johnson needs to move out of the defense if we don't have effective wide players.
All right, Mark. But Mark, in your scenario, Mark, who takes Fabian Johnson's spot in left back?
You still need a left back, Mark. You still need a left back. Who is it?
Left back, I would put Spector in there. Oh. I could put Bocanegra out there. I mean, you have multiple options.
Okay.
It's not like there's no option.
Well, okay. Neither one of those options enthuses me. Jonathan Spector.
Here's my.
And Carlos Bocanegra is too slow at this point to play out there. Area code 619. Who's this?
How you doing, Enrique?
Hey, what's up, Enrique?
We can talk about who we're going to put on the lineup and then. But I want to know what's the situation now? How do we where do we stand? How many wins or ties do we need? Or what's the game plan?
The current situation. Okay, obviously you're a 4-team group. Top 2 move on. Jamaica's on 7 points now with this win. United States on 4. Obviously they can even that up with a win in Columbus, and it's crucial now. You have to win that game. You cannot draw that game in Columbus. You have to win that game.
You don't want to be second team coming out of the group.
Right. Guatemala and Antigua and Barbuda are the other teams in the group. I don't know what their situation is in terms of matches here. I'm looking at the schedule. September 7th, USA Jamaica. September 11th, USA Jamaica. September tonight, Guatemala, Antigua and Barbuda. I don't have a score on that. We'll have to check up on that because that obviously makes a difference. It makes it more difficult. I'm not sure that we're panicking yet, but it is a problem. Area code 404. Who's this?
Yeah, it's Brian.
Hey, Brian.
Appreciate you taking the call.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, real quickly, I think you're being way too kind to Beckerman. I think a really good argument can be made that he was directly responsible for both goals. I think this speaks to a larger trend, and that is that the United States simply cannot produce offense in the highest levels, if you want to be so generous as calling CONCACAF that. You can't do it to qualify for the Olympics. You get a goal in the first 30 seconds, and then that's it. We have a really hard time supplying offense, and obviously that's going to be a problem when you play 3 holding midfielders. But there is no one in the younger generation, and Torres,
there's plenty,
whatever he is.
Okay, but they're
not a 10. You don't have people in the system.
Do we have a 10? I don't know that we have a classic 10. Probably not. And I think that rubs people the wrong way. That's a problem. Thanks for the call.
How many teams in the world play with a classic 10 anymore anyway, though?
Not that many. And not that many produce a player that you could look at and call them a playmaker and say, he runs this team. I mean, the United States could use one, certainly. Do we have it right now? No. But there are players coming through the ranks that will eventually get to this team that are attack-minded, creative players. Joe Zhao, Corona eventually. There's a Mikel Diskerud, a bunch of players who can aid this team in the attack, who will come into it eventually. Right now is the problem. And yes, you have to worry about right now because right now is about qualifying. And it's not going to be easy now. But I do think it's odd that the world flips on its head and everybody declares the United States a disaster and they suck when they're missing their best midfield player, Michael Bradley. You can make an argument.
Possibly the 2 best.
Possibly their 2 best. I mean, I still think Landon Donovan has a supreme influence on this team. Does he make that difference?
No one did anything tonight to put Landon Donovan anywhere out of the mix.
No. Area code 651. Who's this?
Hey guys, this is Ben again. Just reiterating your point. I mean, we got to figure out a way to get creativity, get possession with this team. And right now, look at Jermaine Jones, look at Beckerman. They have no future 2014. We got to figure out a way to get guys like Diskerud. I don't care if he's young and raw. We need that. We need to be able to keep the ball. It's Jamaica. We have to figure out a way to let our technical superiority show.
If you want to be upset about tonight, and you want to lay some blame, Jared, I'm going to lay this blame squarely on the shoulders of Jurgen Klinsmann because you cannot look again. I understand the idea of going on the road and trying to get a point. And again, it's just one of those things that happens in soccer. Guys do it all the time. Bob Bradley made a habit of it. Okay. And we lived with it, and he got results with it, and we got through with it, and we didn't like it, and we wanted it to get better. We wanted it to be this team to play more is the terminology. And they're just, they either haven't figured it out, or Jurgen Klinsmann refuses to take the steps he says he wants to take to make it happen. Because again, Adu, Jones, and Beckerman on the field all at the same time. There is nothing creative about that trio. Maurice Adu makes one pass. Okay, it's a good pass, but I'm putting that on Herc's shoulders for the good run. And Herc makes the effort, and Dempsey scores the goal, and then there's nothing. There's nothing. You don't have anybody else that is going to get Jamaica to back off because they're afraid of that killer pass. There's nobody out there.
No, I completely agree with you. And so I think the biggest problem going forward is that you only have these exact same players to choose from on the 11th. So we're scared to death. We're scared. But here's the thing: if you're going to play multiple holding midfielders anyway, why not play two holding midfielders and take a chance with with a Joe Corona or with a Mikhail Discarud? If maybe the knock on those guys is that maybe they won't take care of the ball well enough at the top level. If you're going to play two holding midfielders behind him anyway, he has a safety net.
Well, we're talking about defensive midfielders versus holding midfielders. The difference between Adu and Jones and Beckerman. Beckerman is a holding midfielder. Adu and Jones are not, because they're not possession guys. They don't make good enough passes. They don't protect the ball well enough. They're there to break up play. They're there to play defense, to mess up Jamaica's attack. They're not there to spray the ball around the park.
In MLS, at MLS level, Beckerman's able to do both. At the international level, I don't know that he can.
Okay, I'm not going to argue with that. Area code 580. Who's this?
Hey, this is KT from Oklahoma.
Hey, KT.
Right, so the off the chalkboard stats just came out. Here's your problem with the guys in front of Beckerman. They lost the ball a combined. Jermaine Jones lost the ball like 35 times.
I'm not a fan.
That happen?
Every time Jermaine Jones touches the ball and takes more than a half dribble, I hate what's happening on the field. I hate it because I don't have any faith.
Jermaine Jones lost the ball 29 times. Kyle Beckerman lost the ball 7 times.
Look, again,
everyone knows Kyle Beckerman can take care of the ball.
This is my argument. The focus is on Beckerman because of one mistake. Granted, a bad mistake. Throw that on his head. But the focus is on Beckerman because of all the other things he has to do, because neither Adu or Jones are good enough with the ball to make that team effective.
Yeah, completely fair point that if those guys in front of him are losing the ball, he's constantly on his heels having to be put in a position where he may have to foul. That's a completely valid point.
Anything else, KT?
Beckerman's just a scapegoat.
I agree. I'm sorry. I have to agree. This isn't people want to talk about the speed of the game and Kyle Beckerman. The speed, and you're not going to play a lot of teams faster than Jamaica. The speed got to him on the foul. Okay, he was a step late. He shouldn't have done it, and it's bad. But the speed of the game is not too much for Kyle Beckerman in general in CONCACAF when we're not asking him to cover ground necessarily. He's not it's Adu and Jones that are supposed to be covering the ground. It's Kyle Beckerman that's supposed to take care of the ball. Take care of the ball and get it into good places and find guys with width, which we had none of, and that was the other thing we were just bitching about at half. There's zero width. There's no, until you get Breck Shea on the field, there are no options, no outlets. You're playing the ball. In that respect, Beckerman was the Bradley of the team tonight. His expectation was to play a role similar to that of Bradley, to take care of the ball, move the ball. In that respect, Kyle Beckerman did decent. But the problem is he was put in position too many times where he had to make a couple of decisions and they went the wrong way, and we got punished for them. So why aren't we coming down on Jermaine Jones for a poor performance?
I think at this point everyone's done it so much. It's just like it's a known factor. I'm done being mad at Jermaine Jones, Jason. I'm done being frustrated with Jermaine Jones because he isn't the one that Klinsman's still choosing him to put him on the field.
No, but you can't.
Your frustration should be pointed towards Klinsman if you're unhappy with the performance you're getting out of Jones.
And I said that if you're gonna be upset about the way this game turned out, be upset at Jurgen Klinsmann, who. We talked about this with Alexi off the top. When he's in front of the press, when he's walking around, doing his Jurgen Klinsmann laid back California German thing, we're gonna play this way, and we're gonna have the ball, and we're gonna press, and we're gonna play fast, and it's gonna be great. And then when they go down to Jamaica and he throws out 2 defensive-minded midfielders with only one of them having any ability to possess the ball in any real sense, Jermaine Jones is a destroyer. Jermaine Jones is not going to help you keep the ball. Kyle Beckerman had 0 help. 0. And you're asking Kyle Beckerman and Clint Dempsey, 2 players, to make everything happen.
And we talked about Josie in the first half being absent. How absent was Clint Dempsey from the second half?
It just disappeared.
That gives you an idea of how much worse it got for the Americans because the midfield wasn't able to find Josie in the first half. It wasn't able to find even Dempsey, who's in the midfield in the second half.
Area code 716. Who's this?
Hey, it's Russ.
Hey, Russ.
Hey, I don't know. Is this an indictment of the 4-3-3 as a system? I mean, trying to play like Barcelona in Spain is fine, but you got to have the players.
Well, that's not what he came out with, Russ. I mean, it kind of.
I mean, Dempsey was kind of linked up with the forwards a lot, just underneath them.
Yeah, but he's okay. We're gonna get into some formation semantics.
No. It changes with every time the ball goes up the field. That's honest.
Yeah. Area code 214. Who's this?
It's Manny from Dallas.
Hey, Manny.
What's going on? It's a very sad day.
It's a very.
I can tell from your voice, man. Get off the ledge, dude.
Okay, Manny.
Come on, man.
Manny, who's responsible?
We were outrun.
But we knew we were going to get outrun, Manny. That's not the issue. So who's responsible for this?
Of course not. If the issue is that we don't, if the technique was there, it doesn't matter how fast they are. It doesn't matter if the technique was there, the passes were there, all the right passes. The fluid of the game and the formation of the team. It doesn't matter how fast Jamaica is. We would have made.
But again, this comes back to Jurgen Klinsmann and his lineup choices. He puts out two players, not necessarily known for their skill with the ball, and that sets up a situation where you can't pass the ball around. The technique isn't there to take care of the ball. If you want to do that, then you're going to need Jose Torres. You're going to need, and again, hasn't been effective much in a national team shirt recently, but we know what he can do when he's given space. Joe Corona, not guys that aren't in this camp. Mikel Discord. If you have Michael Bradley, you have a player who, like Jared said, will take on that Beckerman role and do it above a level above, and that makes everything
and bring a sense of offense to it as well.
Bradley's not there, I just say he's future Captain America, but who knows? Still, he wasn't there, but still. So it's like, come on, man. I mean, look at all those passes. Look at all those passes and those crosses, that line. I was like, are you kidding me? Who's that to?
Yeah.
Who is that?
No, zero ideas. But because they could not create anything in the middle of the field, Jared, and because there was no width, it was a lot of long diagonal crosses out of the back or out, from midfield that just aren't going to be effective.
What I love about my man right here, my man kind of summed up the whole night, the whole byline for the whole night with his just one sentence that he said, "Come on, man." just honestly, that's how I feel about the whole night. Come on, man. Really? This is the best we got.
Isn't that we're still that's an ESPN NFL thing. I don't
that's come on, son.
No, that's come on, man. And I'm not.
Oh, is it? With what's the guy's name from USC that does it?
I don't know, but we have to be original here. We can't be playing people styles. All right, look. It's bad. Let's look forward. Tuesday night, turnaround time is quick. You got to get to Columbus. You got to figure this out. I think Jurgen Klinsmann, it's not danger time, panic mode. But if he doesn't put out a significantly different lineup, at least in the midfield moving forward, again, this is not on Josie Altidore that he disappeared because he just didn't get any service. I'd like to see Hercules Gomez. That's fine, but if he doesn't put out a significantly different midfield lineup, we have to wonder what's going on here and whether or not he's the right guy for the job. I mean, that's the level we're getting to. And I don't want to be that guy that starts calling. I'm not calling for Jurgen Klinsmann's job tonight. I'm not doing that. I think he's done some good things with this team, and we've seen glimpses. But if he doesn't bring it to bear on qualifying when it counts, because if this team doesn't make a World Cup, it's an absolute disaster. It's an absolute disaster.
I'm going to give you names. You tell me if they're in or out for Columbus. Okay?
Okay.
Carlos Bocanegra.
I think he's got to be... Well, okay. I wasn't too worried about the center backs tonight, so I'm going to say out.
Okay. Breck Shea.
I think he's got to be in. if you're going to bring him in as a late sub tonight, I mean, I don't know. Jurgen Klinsmann doesn't see him as a starter, as a 60-minute player. I would like to see him get a couple more chances to make something happen. So I'm going to say in.
Kyle Beckerman.
I'm going to say in. That guy.
Listen, if you want someone if this team needs that Bradley role, he's the closest person that can do some of the fundamental aspects, the unsexy aspects of what Bradley does. I'm with you on that one. Maurice Adu.
Out, but I see the problem is I gotta
makes room for Shea. That's okay. That makes room for Shea. You said Shea was in.
All right.
Okay. Jermaine Jones.
He's gonna be in. I don't know that I want him in, but he'll be in there. I have no doubts about that. He's a crutch for Klinsmann.
And obviously you think Dempsey's gonna be in, right?
Yeah, I don't know, man. 90 minutes with questionable match fitness, disappears at the end of the game. I guess he's going to start.
I think you start him, and he probably just hasn't played the whole 90 minutes. So that's going to give you a midfield of Breck Shea, Jermaine Jones, Kyle Beckerman, Clint Dempsey. I think that's an improvement over tonight. I still would like to see. I know I'm that guy. I'm that guy that still believes, and I'm not sure why, but for some reason I still want to see Jose Francisco Torres in this lineup in Columbus. I don't know. I know I'm that guy. Everyone hates him, and I'm not. I don't feel great about it, but
I don't hate him. I don't know what the problem is. I know that he's got the ability, and I know that the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
Then why is Jermaine Jones on the field?
That's a very good question.
Is that mean Klinsman's insane?
You're going to get out of Jermaine Jones every time. You're going to get tons of turnovers, a bunch of bad passes, a couple of bad fouls, probably a yellow card. Has he gotten a red for the U.S. yet? I guess he has.
I think he has. I think he has gotten a red for the U.S. before.
Okay.
Anyway, I totally agree with you. I think that the midfield you put out there is probably going to be pretty close to what's actually be there, with the question mark with is it going to be Shea or Torres. I think the other three components are going to be about what you said, and I think the Josie and Hercules Gomez gets another run. I don't think that they did enough to either hurt or help their cause. I think it's a watch.
Get somebody in the game. If it's Torres, fine. Get somebody in the game. I don't know that he can do the job though, and I'm coming back around to Jose Torres has not been effective. Get somebody in the game who can get them the ball in dangerous places, who can get Josie out the door. Somebody's got to be at least a threat to. Again, this is about the width and everything else. There's got to be a threat there. Josie, how many guys on his back did Josie Altidore have every time he tried to receive the ball at the top of the box tonight?
Quite a few. Quite a few.
A dozen? It seemed like a dozen. I mean, that you cannot play like that and expect him to be able to get the ball off his foot to anybody else or make a turn and be effective.
Here's a name we haven't discussed in this, okay? So we talk about Beckerman being the one that can kind of fill that Bradley Holding role. Here's a name we haven't talked about. Can't Graham Zusi also do that with a little bit more of an offensive eye than Beckerman?
I had the thought at halftime that Graham Zusi would not have been a bad substitution. Shea or Zusi, it was kind of a toss-up. Shea is going to be more obvious with
Zusi's passing is. I think Zusi's passing is a step up from Jermaine Jones and Maurice Adu, without a doubt. The problem is I don't know if he has the consistency at the international level to really. I don't know. There's something about it doesn't quite do. But for some reason with Zusi, I see him as someone that can make more offense out of the midfield.
Look, okay, let's put a bow on this. The calls have slowed down. Obviously, everybody has gotten off their chest what they wanted to get off their chest tonight. I'm still hopeful that 3 points are on the table in Columbus. I mean, this obviously doesn't fill me with confidence tonight, but I got to pull us back here a little bit, Jared. The immediate sky is falling response to this game. Did the United States, they obviously didn't play well. They lost a game they probably should have at least gotten a point out of. There are a lot of caveats at play. That doesn't excuse not getting a point, but it obviously makes a difference in throwing away the whole program and saying all of our players suck. The entire team sucks.
A
lot of it. I'm getting it all over Twitter. People freaking out. The U.S. sucks. They'll never. Oh, they're gonna lose. They're gonna not qualify for the World Cup. This is a disaster. I haven't seen Fire Klinsmann. Yet.
Has the U.S. ever gone undefeated in World Cup qualifying? No.
No.
You're going to have setbacks here and there. The fact of the matter is, how consistent are they over a long year and a half stretch?
It's about responding now. Come out on Tuesday night and thump Jamaica on your home.
You're telling me that the U.S. failed to win on the road in CONCACAF on World Cup qualifying. Nothing surprising about this to me right now. Nothing surprising to this about me right now. I mean, these things happen. These results happen. Take care of business at home, and you'll be okay.
Right. This is 100% on Jurgen Klinsmann, and he's got to figure it out. And when we reconvene on Tuesday, and when they put out that lineup, be very anxious to see what he does. If he has some kind of response in him to say, all right, look, you talked about the car. We need a driver. Is he going to hand the keys to a driver, or is he going to put a bunch of guys who are going to sit in the back seat and reach up for the steering wheel every couple of miles, try to get it going in the right direction? That's it. That's the bottom line.
Your metaphor went out the window.
I saved it at the end. All right, we will be back on Sunday when I expect we'll be talking about some other things besides the national team. We'll push that to the side.
And a little national team. But if you want to take part in that as well, if you couldn't call in tonight and you got something you want to say, hit us with the email, show@bestsoccershow.com. We'll get some of those in on our Sunday show, which will be out Monday. And we'll also be back here on the 11th talking pregame, halftime, postgame around the Columbus match against Jamaica all over again.
Yep. Thanks for everybody. Thanks to everybody who listened tonight and participated. Love doing the live shows for the national team games. Much better when they win. Hopefully that happens on Tuesday. We'll talk to you soon, guys. Bye.